Oh, they caught me with my old man reading glasses on. All right, let's see here. Exit out. So far, they're just going to be seeing the top of my hat. I sent her off. Let's see here. Refresh your screens. Nobody can probably hear me. Is that the new one? No, where's part? It says I'm connecting. All right, a few people got me. I didn't get me yet. All right, a few people got me because I see it on this screen, but I don't see it on my screen. I still have. Let's see here. I'm going to do this. I can well understand why you would want to come back for more of this fascinating show right now, watching me connect. But I exited out of my YouTube. Oh, there it is. There's my hand. There's part 2. There's live. All right. All right, I'm back, and I didn't go on Facebook this time. That was too much of a pain in the ass. Hopefully, everybody over here is out of the other one, and it's just as well because I forgot to say every 5 minutes, anybody over on Facebook, I won't be active in the chat. Come over to YouTube, but I forgot about all that, so now that's fucking sucks batshit balls. Yeah, I got it over here. Well, come on, if you want to come over, I'll get. I exited out of everything, and then I went back in, and it actually says the same thing. That's part 2 on there. So there we go. I'm back now. What the hell was I talking about? I don't know. Oh, back to how pathetic my comedy career is right now. And again, I'm in a little bit of a panic mode because I've pissed and moaned about this before. To sell a show, you need like 2 months, and the good season, the busy season, is like now till like really the end of March. So it's gonna be a little shaky. So I'm gonna try to pull off a lot of shit. And what just happened now, again, that's the commercial for my GoFundMe. But streaming with Wi-Fi is just fucking horrible. I know it's a lot of fun when I freeze, and then you peck your heads. I mean, in a nice way, you can make a dick out of me and go, "You're frozen," and that's what is the problem with me making a dick out of the guy last night and saying, "I'll just take a joke halfway and go," because it came back to haunt me. So, but I'm back, I guess, and this is better than part 2 because hopefully I won't cry in part 2. I cried in part 1, but hopefully I won't cry in part 2 unless somebody asks me a trick fucking question, and then you never know what's gonna happen. Let me tell you a couple more stories here of shit that I remember. So, there was a comedian that used to open for me. I liked him. He was a little bit snooty. I won't say his name, but I liked him. He was good and he was sharp, but he had a little bit of attitude on him. And my audience, man, we're just fun people who like to party. I don't really like to make people think too much to figure out my stuff. And on his business card, he said, like Dennis Miller, but without the attitude, which to me fucking screams attitude. To put another comedian's name on your business card, that's fucking attitude right there. So, but I used to pick him up and then drive him along to shows. and he had his stool. And this came up last night because they were talking about the comedian stool. It's a thing. We have these stools, and I got a couple of them, and they're sitting around here. This comedian stool is a real thing. It usually holds a drink or whatever. And I was doing this. I had a teeny tiny little car, and we always had to put his big fucking stool. The stool just barely fit in the car, and all it did was go on stage, and then it would sit and hold a fucking drink, and then he'd leave it up there after his set. And I was doing a thing where I came out in a biker jacket, and I had a cigarette hanging, and I was trying to be like Amish dice or whatever. And I took the cigarette one night, and I put it out on the stool, and he lost his fucking mind because apparently this was the first horrible thing that ever happened to his stool. But I've thought that I gave it character. So, again, stories that don't really have a point or an end to them. But on another such show, it was me and him, and one other guy was going to host that neither of us knew. And the other comedian asked him for his intro, and he went, just say whatever you want. So the other comedian was a ventriloquist, and he had a whole bunch of dummies. And we thought he was done because his 15 minutes was up. And he said, well, I want to introduce your next comedian. And then we thought it was my friend, but it was actually a dummy because he was going to do another thing. And he introduced him as the next comedian. This next comedian coming out is the dumbest, stupidest, ugliest, most unfunny comedian in the world. And I looked at my friend, I'm like, hey, that'll teach you next time somebody asks you what's your fucking intro. Don't say whatever, just make something up. So I just remembered that. See, that'll help me not cry during this episode. I'll tell you what, thanks for tuning in tonight, because this episode, I can't leave this up on the internet. There's people to come see, oh, look, the Amish guy cried. Oh. But I told that story before, too, and I'll probably cry again. George Carlin's story was kind of amazing. Nobody believes this, but George Carlin had the record of selling out that theater 2,000 seats in 12 days. I fucking smoked his ass, and I sold it out in 7 days. My agent kept all the fucking money, but I still get bragging rights. So it was one of the first times I did a really big show, and I was fucking scared. It's 2,000 people, that's a lot. And I thought this up. George Carlin is going to be there a month before me. Can we arrange to get me backstage? I won't bother him. I don't even have to see him. I just want to hear what 2,000 people sound like laughing. In case I say anything funny and they laugh, I'll know what to expect. And George Carlin's people, I'm sure he had to okay it. They were fine with it. They were absolutely fine. George Carlin was going over notes like I do, and he was thinking, and I wound up kind of blocking people from going in his dressing room. I was like his fucking bodyguard, and somebody tried to get around me, and I cock blocked him a little bit, and then I whispered, and George Carlin could hear me because his door was open in there. I don't know much about anything except that whatever your job is, comedian, surgeon, whatever, when you're doing this, like George Carlin was doing, that you don't want to fucking interrupt anybody at any job when they're doing this. And then he got a little pissed off at me and he stormed off. And then George Carlin, I looked at him at the corner of my eye, he was laughing. And so me and him, we kind of hit it off. And then he took me behind the stage. He knew why I was there. He took me behind a stage while his opening act was on stage with the curtain so nobody could see us. And George Carlin taught me how to listen to an audience for where the hot spots are in the room. He said, you're going to take, he knew what I was up against here just starting out. He said, you take your best material and you have to throw it right on your hot spots of the room and then let it, catch fire all around the room there. But you have to know where the hot spots are. So when his comedian was on stage, my job was, in silence, to point where the hot spots were. So he'd say a thing, and then we'd laugh, and I'd go over there, and George Carlin was giving me golf claps. And then I go over there. So then that was like so fucking incredible, and that led me to be friends. I never even really met her, with his daughter Kelly Carlin. And we were talking backstage and all that, and then I said, I don't want, this is so amazing for me. I'm one of my favorite comedians, and but how do you now? Not that I would even get there. How do you deal with these 2,000 people that all want to take you out to dinner, like afterwards, autographs and the pictures? And he said, I don't want to be a dick, but like, while they are still giving me my second standing ovation, and he didn't even sound like an asshole, just like he knew what was going to happen. That garage door over there on the other side of the stage will be up, and the limousine will be there waiting for me. I will be in that limousine while they're still giving me a second standing ovation. And I knew it was going to fucking happen. So while he was on stage and he had his first standing ovation, then that's a curtain call, and then he came back out. Then he got his second standing ovation, and then he ran off again, and they were still on their feet fucking cheering. And he looked over at me, and the limousine door was open. And then I tipped my hat to him because I was like, and he fucking bowed to me like this, got in the car, and drove off. And that was fucking badass. And that brought me to another thing. I met Richard Pryor's daughter, Rain Pryor. I get to be friends with her. And I know all these comedians, and when I know they perform somewhere, I tweet tags them, because if they like me, I tweet tag them at the club, and I'll say, hey, Rain Pryor will vouch for me, and she'll tweet at the club, yeah, book them. And then they don't, and then you're like, when you play your Richard Pryor's daughter card says book them, and they don't book you, then I'm fucking done. Then I'm out. This is the kind of shit we were talking about when we were Zooming last night. See, it was worth doing a part 2 because donations are coming in. I knew it would work. I thought, if I cry a little bit, then people will be really sad for me, then more donations will come in. What's that? Stephen Guilano. We don't know how to say your name, but thank you for these donations. Really appreciate it. The GoFundMe is coming along. So it's going to take a while until we get a MacBook and figure that shit out. I kind of feel like a dick asking, but this is weird. And as you have been witness, my career is somewhat crippled. Under any other year, during this time of year, I can make enough money to afford a MacBook. But now, I mean, I didn't even want to do it. The GoFundMe is kind of like needy and beggy. And if you go in there, there's people that lost their homes and they're trying to pay for shit. And then an Amish guy needs a MacBook. I mean, I'm the dick of GoFundMe. But that's where we're at. And I know I can do more cool shit with that. So, you know, again, folks have been donating there. It's actually, if you go on the GoFundMe page, there's another LinkTree. All my shit's in there. If you go on the LinkTree, everything. My fan pages, my Twitter, my Instagram, my GoFundMe. There's a live stream, Streamlabs, once I have a MacBook. It's going to be so cool. These other fuckers that I was Zooming with, okay, they stream from a MacBook, and then they sit in like bat caves and shit. This is an actual curtain that I had to put up. This is not a computer special effect. They sit in bat caves and all kinds of shit. I'll be able to do that, and apparently they don't spin and freeze because they're going to be fucking hardwired in there. And if I get it, I get it, and if I don't get it, then I don't fucking get it. What are you going to do? Then we'll just keep streaming and watching me freeze, and then you guys will say, why are you doing this to us? Should I start again? I don't know. Should I start again? Let's do it. Cut. Let's do it again without crying. More fun stories here. I'm having a ball. I actually didn't want to do this, and now once I start talking about myself, I just can't fucking stop. So, thank you, Eddie Lane. That's amazing. Again, when I don't see shit, if you saw the beginning of this, you caught me with my Harry Potter old man reading glasses on and all this shit small print here, and I can't see this shit at all. When I had an agent, he had me do all kinds of dumb shit. There's a VHS tape floating around. I, I, he stole so much fucking money from me, but I learned a lot of shit because I didn't go to college. So I figured all the money he stole from me was like me paying for my comedy college. So on Super Bowl day, right? And I won't have cable, so I won't get them. We're gonna fucking dump cable too. I think I told you that. We're gonna dump all that shit. The Giants, that's my team, so I don't really need to watch football because they suck. So whenever they start to play good again, I'll get cable back. But the Giants happen to be in the Super Bowl, and instead of me watching the Super Bowl, that cocksucker had me touring the Boscovs in the Reading area doing tape signings. And I'm sitting there autographing VHS tapes, and as a sweet gift to me, he bought me with money that he stole from me a little fucking $150 TV that I could sit and fucking watch. I got no channels because I don't know how you plug cable into a fucking walkie-talkie. But that pissed me off because when you steal from me and then you give me a stupid gift that I shouldn't be able to afford, that's fucking weird shit there. So, but the agent had me doing all kinds of weird shit. I got to throw out the first pitch at 2 Reading Phillies games. That was pretty great. I didn't think it was going to be that cool, but it was actually a lot of fun. And I think I hit somebody in the stands the first time I did it. The second time I did it, my agent tried to do too much for like everybody. Like he sent a limo for me for the one Raja show. There were like 9 fucking people in the limo. I think one was going golfing and all this and that shit. I didn't really feel that special. Although my wife and our daughter was very little, we get to do a little lap around the block of Emmaus in a limo. That was fucking badass. I forgot about that. So, but the one Reading Phillies thing, it was me. I was like the special Raymond Amishcomic night. And the Blues Brothers. Now, the thing you gotta know about the Blues Brothers is they haven't existed for years. They're like Elvis impersonators. There's like 90 fucking guys running around doing the Blues Brothers things with the suit and the glasses, and they don't fucking sing or anything. They play music and then they try to dance like fucking John Belushi and it's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. So I did my thing first, and then they got to do a thing in between innings, and my agent is saying, go, you go, because they were dancing on the fucking first baseline, and he goaded me into going out there and dancing with the Blues Brothers. So the Blues Brothers, not the really ones, they're just 2 assholes in suits dancing with the Ray-Bans on. And I had Ray-Bans, and I put mine on, and he goaded me into going in there and dancing in between them. And they both were fucking mad at me, and they said it like ventriloquists, because they weren't having to sing or nothing. They were lip-syncing everything. And they're like, you had your turn, now get the hell out of here, it's our turn. So the fucking Blues Brothers, that aren't really the Blues Brothers, heckled me off the fucking field in the Reading Phillies game. Career highlights. That's fantastic right there. What else is going on? My wife's keeping an eye on the chat. These donations are just so fucking rock star. Really, again, it means a lot to me. And I'm not trying to complain, but as great as these are, they're nowhere close to being able to support us. I have a couple of amazing friends that just fucking give us money for no apparent reason, and family. So we're not going to starve by any stretch of the imagination, because this goes back to a Bearman story. I was going to Ireland, and I was really worried I was going to run out of money because summer sucked. And the Bearman said this, and it's a recurring theme of my life. He goes, "We're going over to Ireland. You're going to be with family, right?" Yes. When you run out of money, you will become their burden. Oh, how true that has been. So I'm blessed. The donations, I'm trying to take these donations too and funnel them into the MacBook thing. Because again, I really think I can do some serious good shit with this thing. But who the fuck comedy? I had like 3 fucking other jobs and comedy. I worked in a shitty T-shirt factory for like $7 an hour. I worked in a video store, and I think and comedy sort of counted as another one. Uh, so I had 3 shitty jobs. I fucking worked all the time to try to get to where I am now, and even I would say the past 4 or 5 years, I was still figuring shit out how to craft my year so we could live. And when I had everything figured out, okay, we'll do the day after Christmas show, Celebration Theater, we'll do the New Year's Eve show, pow, at the Mayas Fire Company #1, we'll do Arts Quest, like one of the first weekends in January, and then fill in a couple of things in January and to the end of January. Sealands Grove, VFW. It's just a big fucking money gig for me. It took me that many years to craft that so I would know that we would have money. And we had a couple of years that was fucking fantastic just because everything's working. I got this. Now that's a slow season. I got money here. Pow, that's a slow season. Let's go here. Let's do that. And then kerpow. Just when I figured out how to make all this shit work, kaplooey. So that's why this is. I don't even know where this is gonna go. But again, I'm trying to figure some shit out. I think I was gonna tell a story that had nothing to do with that, and then I forgot what the hell it was. Oh, Lancaster. That's another one. The comedian who was opening for the Ramones, who was hell-bent on getting his $50. That's all real. That is all real. The comedy dollars are like fucking gold, and it's been shitty money forever. Comedians are like the minimum wage has never gone up. So I'm going back to early days of going to do my shows in Lancaster. I'm starting to get a following there, and I wasn't headlining, but I wasn't making good money, but I was making okay money. That's what was going to happen. So if I was going to make, and I think the weekend was, it was going to be 3 shows, $200, and I could stay there all weekend long, and it was fucking snowing, and the trip from Emmaus to the Lancaster, there's this big fucking hill. There's a back way to go through Reading, and there's this giant hill, and the shows are going to happen down there because it's Peckerheads and Lancaster. They don't care if it snows or not. But if I don't get there, I don't get to work. So there's a hill like this, right, like that, with fucking ice on it, and the cars were stopped here, and I was way down here, and they were fucking stopped. They were absolutely stopped, and so I got out from way back here, and I didn't think it up till I got like I was like right there, and there were like 2 cars ahead of me, and it just fucking stopped, and I got out and I convinced all the people in the cars behind us that we had to push each other over the top one by one. And the genius of that was I was like second in line. So when I went, I didn't fucking hang around to push anybody else. And then I made it down and I did those shows down there. And that's the story of also another. It always snowed when I went down there. So I went down there and I had to swipe the company van to go. And the peckerhead that worked with me there, he came along. And we got 2 fucking foot of snow on the ground in Lancaster. And not 1 flake of snow here in the Emmaus. When I phoned my wife, I'm not a cell phone. I'm not going to make it home tonight because there's 2 feet of snow on the ground. She's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That was uncomfortable because I even tried to drive home and the van was sliding across fucking Dutch Wonderland. And then I got stuck in this hotel room. You see my wife, she's gorgeous. And I want to spend fucking night in Lancaster with a toady motherfucker with a southern accent that I screen printed t-shirts with. No fucking way. And I love this guy, but he's the guy, if you've seen my shows, he's the guy who would finish my thoughts when I was mad, and it would still make me not quite as mad because it was a little bit funny. He'd go, "What do you say, man? You'd rather be home with your wife instead of here with me. Is that what you say, man?" "Yeah, that's what you say." So I wouldn't even have to fucking say anything. And I was so fucking mad. We were laying in this fucking shack. It wasn't even connected to the actual hotel. It was a little fucking shoe bungalow out back. And I was just to the point where I thought I could fall asleep. And then he's laying over there on the fucking sofa and he goes, "I wonder if they got any orange soda out there. You think they got any orange soda out there?" "Quiet! I'm trying to get some sleep. Is that what you say? If you want some orange soda, why don't you go out and get your own orange soda?" And that actually fucking happened. And that made me think of another story that I forgot while I was telling that story. So hopefully that'll come back. This is kind of cool that you folks are hanging out like this. Man, especially since we're going to be dumping cable, this would be a fun thing to hang out. But that story, why did that remind me of something? Oh, everything happened in that hotel room down there. Side story, then somebody, if I'm going to tell this story about a thing in the Poconos, and then when I'm done, if I forget, somebody put in the chat to remind me to go back and tell the Lancaster hotel room story. Because here's the thing about comedians, and again, this was fun hanging out with comedians. We can get booked at the most gorgeous resorts that you take shitty money just to be booked there. And you go, "Oh my God, I'll bring our wife and our daughter will come along and we'll be in this resort." There was a thing, and they didn't come along this night. We went up to the Poconos, and I don't even remember where it was, but it was a place I could never afford to stay at. I just couldn't. And I pull in, and I told them who I was, and I'm looking at this hotel, and they said, "Oh, your room is not connected to the main hotel." They had a little fucking Sling Blade shack area, fucking storage shack area for us. I had to drive down a fucking dirt road. That's why I never brought my wife and then our daughter along to anything until I went through it, just because shit like that happens all the time. Another time, the Woodlands. Some of you Peckerheads know where the Woodlands is. It's not the most phenomenal resort, but we're going back 30 years of my career. It's pretty nice. Shitty money, but I take my wife, and our daughter was really little. She's so cute. I would hold her, and we went there, and the hotel didn't have my room. And then the Peckerhead who booked it, he gave my room to his friends. This was a big fucking party weekend for him. And I'm there. So is he here now? Can I talk to him? And yes. And I'll do his voice for you, and then some of the people might know who he is. But I call him up. "So, where's my room?" "You called me up and said you didn't need a room." I'm like, "Listen, I'm pretty fucking dumb, but I'm not so dumb that I would call you up and cancel my room and bring my wife and daughter along. I'm not that fucking crazy yet. Those days are coming, but right now." And then he swore to me, and he fucking lied and cheated me all the time. And he owed me money from another gig that he was supposed to bring to that gig. And I'm like, "Do you have my $200 from the other gig?" "Yeah, you said you didn't need that money tonight." Who the fuck was calling him up? And apparently his career could move like this by just telling people dumb shit. So needless to say, I didn't really work for that guy. And it was a one night at the Woodlands, and then Friday night, and then more shows the second night. So I was actually headlining, and he hosted, so he could have all the fucking stage time he ever wanted. So he stole a piece of comedy from me Friday night and performed it Saturday night in front of me before he introduced me. And I came out and I said, first of all, that piece of material that he told you about the this and the that and the horse and buggy shit, it's mine. He stole it from me. And I'm on stage now. He stole it right before my fucking very eyes. I performed it last night and he stole it, and he will deny that he stole it, but I will prove it to you because I will re-perform it, and it will be way funnier than how he just told it to you, thus proving that it's mine. And I did it, and he fucking laughed, and again, my stories don't... I wish I could remember exactly what the piece of material was, but he stole that from me. So now that puts us back to Lancaster. The guy who ran the Lancaster Club, I love him. He's a friend of mine on and off, and we've had our troubles. Anytime there's money involved, people fight. And that's comedy. He lost his liquor license, and then the money. So we've been on again, off again, all this and that. But he used to do this thing once I was headlining there that I thought was funny, that I didn't think was funny when I first started there, because it's $200 for the weekend. This is the Snow Over the Hill Club. So, and he used to torment the comedians on it was the time to get paid at night, at Sunday night. He was a big Steelers fan. If the Steelers lost, he was a real fucking jerk off, and you couldn't hardly fucking get paid out of him. So you'd walk into his office and you'd have to wait to get paid, and you were only getting $200. And he did it to all the new guys. He'd go, "Did you make any phone calls?" Then he'd start fucking deducting. "Did you have anything to eat?" Then he'd fucking try to whittle your paycheck down to nothing. So now this went on, and then he was just dicking with people. But later on in life, I huckstered a deal with him where, because I was getting shitty money, I was going to bring my wife and our daughter and our niece of same age, because this was going to be a fun weekend. They were just going to go to Lancaster and shop in the outlets, spend money I didn't earn yet, and all the food they could eat. It was a great Italian restaurant, and the pasta was fucking incredible, and it was a little fancy, so if you went in there, it might have been $22 a plate, but I guess it was really fucking worth it. And my wife and daughter and niece, they wined and dined, and they pasted it up like for all the spaghetti they wanted the whole weekend long. And then when I went to get paid, he wasn't there, and the lady tried to fucking deduct like fucking $300 off my paycheck for pasta. So that was a fun story there. Really, it's only funny now, but the fun night, it's sort of a little bit embarrassing, but it was the middle of the night, and my wife and I were in our hotel room, and they gave our room away. At 3 o'clock in the morning, a geezer couple with suitcases unlocked her fucking door, scared the fuck out of us, and they're standing in the lighted hallway, and my wife and I were in the fucking bed, and we were fucking asleep on, and you can hear the guy, "There's someone in the room." I'm there, "Close the fucking door. There's someone in the room. Close the fucking door." Contrary to what it says on the brochure, every room in Lancaster does not come with its own complimentary Amishman. Close the fucking door. And that's a true story. I'm running out of shit. I'm having a ball here, though. This is so crazy. Let's see. I think of all this shit. Did I bring a baseball? Somebody's saying something about a baseball bat. I'm not even saying anything now. We're just watching this thing scroll here. Let me look through some old notes here. But again, talking to other comedians, it's kind of fun to hear their version of the same shit that happened to you. Oh, I know one. And this gets to the heart of our grown-up daughter out on the other side of Pittsburgh with a kid who wanted the Blue Velvet DVD. Okay, so on my wife's 3 kids, I had a ready-made family. Uh-oh, I'm losing my battery power here. Hang on. If I go to do comedy and I got shitty money, it was terrible, but that's what I was doing. I worked for, and the kids are all little, I worked for a guy called the Pickle Man, and then I would drive to Philly to go to do a $150 gig so we could fucking eat. And this was back in 1991. That was a metric fuck ton of money. And he did it every time. He goes, well, we didn't have enough money. We didn't make enough money here to pay you, but here's jars of pickles. And that's how I got paid, with jars of pickles. And I'm not really a pickle eater. My wife and her entire family are pickle nuts. People fucking love pickles. Our kids love pickles. So to the point that when I went to these shows, they were hoping he didn't have enough money to pay me, so I'd come back with pickles. I'd come back, I'd be all mad. Oh, they didn't have any money to pay me. Did you get pickles? Yes. Woohoo! I think that's where I'm going to leave this because my phone battery is dying. I love you folks. Thanks so much for the donations. I'll get through these comments. See you next Saturday, I guess. That's the thing, right? All right. Take care of yourselves. Don't be assholes. And if you see me on cable TV, let me know because I won't have cable, so I won't know that I'm on there. So I'm going to turn this thing off before the battery goes. Just don't tell anybody that I cried in part 1. And